Hi, everyone. It is Monday evening. It's Region Weather meteorologist Matt Wintz for our Monday evening edition of Region Weather Live. Lots to talk about tonight. You've probably heard about what we've got coming our way. We're here to kind of tone down the hype. We'll get through it. We're going to keep it real in terms of what we're expecting here across Northwest Indiana. We do have some decent snow on the way, and it is going to shut things down for a little bit, but we'll be able to get through it just fine. It'll be okay. So we're going to take you through the models. We'll talk about your questions at the end of everything. We'll talk about what happens beyond this system as well, all in this edition of Region Weather Live. All right, welcome in, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, we had a pretty quiet day today. Tomorrow actually looks fantastic temperature-wise. You're not even going to know something's coming. We should bump up into the 40s tomorrow, and then things go downhill after that. And really not much has changed in terms of this forecast. This has been pretty much right on over the last 5 or 6 days now. There are some little subtle nuances that we'll talk about in terms of the track of this system and in terms of how much moisture comes in. But overall, it looks to behave pretty much as we've been expecting over the last couple of days. If you're new to Region Weather, again, welcome. I am a meteorologist who used to forecast in Northwest Indiana at WYIN, Lakeshore Public Television, and Region Weather was created because Chicago doesn't cover Northwest Indiana like they should. We know that, right? And they certainly like to hype things up as well. And our motto here is no hype whatsoever. We're going to keep it real. We'll go through the models together. We'll answer your questions at the end. All right, let's get to it, everybody. First, want to send a shout out to all those saying hi. Rhonda, hi. Peter, hello. Caitlin, Jackie, Gregory, Jeff, Jimmy, all the regulars on tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. Watching in Valpo. Thanks, Andrea. Hi, Joshua. Hi, Deb. And good evening to you, Mark. Thanks for joining us, guys. All right, so here's what we're dealing with here. I'm going to show you first the NAM-NEST. This is more of a high-res model that shows exactly how this is going to play out, perhaps what your radar is going to look like if you have a radar app as we go through time tomorrow. And then we'll get into some of the global models, which I think have a really good handle of the storm system. And then I'm going to raise some of the questions that we have still in terms of the forecasting over the next couple days. Again, I know this event starts tomorrow, so hopefully you'll have everything kind of cleared out, ready to go. You have your storm drains cleared because we're going to have some rain on top of it. We just want to have things kind of prepped and ready to go for this storm. But I want to talk about how this storm could fail us as well, right? Because that's always the big question. How does this system miss us? It doesn't look to. I'll give you a hint of that, but we'll look at it here. So as we go through time here, you notice we've developed a really nice south wind. All these black lines you see on here, these are called isobars. Those are lines of equal pressure. When they're really scrunched together, it means it's windy. You have pressure that changes very quickly, right? So we're going to have a pretty gusty south wind tomorrow. We already had one today. That's going to pump in warmer air. Even still, temperatures should stay pretty flat tonight. They'll drop back into the 20s for a little bit, should rise into the 30s by daybreak. And then we're talking highs tomorrow near 40 degrees. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of us popped into the 42, 43, 44 degree category, especially for those of you down in Newton and Jasper counties. So tomorrow morning, tomorrow midday, you're probably going to be like, all right, this is supposed to be some kind of snowstorm and it's 44 degrees outside. Well, things will go downhill after that. So what we're going to develop with that south wind is some rain tomorrow, and that rain will likely overspread Northwest Indiana. You're not going to see it on radar in the morning. It's going to be something that kind of pops up on radar, and that will develop as we go through the midday and early afternoon hours tomorrow. So do plan for rain if you have that evening commute tomorrow. It does look okay at this point. The earlier, the better on that, because that rain that develops is going to continue to expand and kind of blossom on radar. And as we go through time, you notice we've got the colder air with the Arctic front towards the north. That colder air will slowly be building into that rainfall that we have on radar. So we're rain through probably the evening rush hour as it looks right now. That was kind of in fluxes. Does this change over to snow for that evening rush? We may start to see some wet snowflakes mixing in, especially the further north and west you are. But I do think that evening rush hour tomorrow should be mainly rain. And if it does change over to some wet snow, we should be okay in terms of accumulation. Certainly a manageable evening rush hour tomorrow. Beyond the evening rush hour, though, you notice what happens. We still have that trail of rain as there's this prolonged kind of extended area of moisture with this system that we've been talking about. That's what makes this such a decent snowstorm, is the fact that it's not just a quick hit from a low pressure that moves through. It's a giant elongated area of precip where we're still waiting on the low way back in Texas after we've already had a day of precip around here. So that's what makes it kind of the long duration event that really is going to make some of this snow pile up. So we're now into tomorrow evening. You notice our green is gone. We've now replaced it with some blue across Northwest Indiana. That's our changeover. And again, that changeover should be pretty quick. I'm not expecting a lot of freezing rain or sleet in between. The atmospheric profile not really set up for that. So we should go from white rain to this kind of gloppy, wet snowflakes tomorrow evening. And then by tomorrow night, we're talking all wet snow across all of Northwest Indiana. This is going to be a heavy, wet snow, folks. There's lots of moisture with it. And again, that snowfall rate could really start to pick up tomorrow overnight into Wednesday morning. So we talked in the last couple Region Weather Lives about that Wednesday morning rush hour being pretty problematic around here. I still think so. I think we're going to have lots of heavy, wet snow falling, and there'll already be quite a bit on the ground from that Wednesday night as well, or Tuesday night into Wednesday morning as well. So as we go through time Wednesday, you notice how we have a strip of some pretty decent snow, says this model, to as we get into Wednesday morning. And that continues. That remains pretty persistent throughout the day. We're now up to Wednesday evening, and you notice it's been snowing all day. The heaviest snow with the latest model track has shifted a little bit further down to the south and the east. I've noticed all the models have shifted just ever so slightly down to the south and the east. The models have a pretty good handle on this, right? They've been pretty consistent with this. Our battle is going to be how far south is that shift, because the further this continues to shift south, there's a sharp cutoff line between snow and no snow that's going to exist as of right now north and west of Chicago. So the further away we get from this sweet spot, remember I always talk about that sweet spot, which is right where that ice and sleet changes over to snow, right down in here where you tend to get some of the heavier snowfall rates. So the further south and east we see a shift, and if that happens tomorrow, that would take some of the heaviest snow away and it'd replace it with a moderate to light snow, which would cut back on our accumulations. Right now, I'm pretty confident with this model. I think that, again, they've had a good handle on the last couple of days, but you also have to keep in mind they've been sampling an area of low pressure that hasn't been on continental United States yet. They were still out over the ocean. They were way up in Canada as well. We have all of our weather instruments that gather weather information on land. There's not a lot out over the ocean, unfortunately. That's why we have satellite. So when these models are predicting a snowstorm, when the low is still out over the ocean, it's not getting a good sampling of what's actually happening in the atmosphere. So we tend to see some of the biggest corrections once those storm systems hit land. These storm systems are now over land right now. We've got an area of low pressure down towards the south. We've got another one coming in from Canada. And again, they're going to meet up. So I would expect tomorrow morning and then especially tomorrow afternoon's model runs should be pretty close to truth, right? Right now, we could be off 10, 15 miles. Does that make a big difference? Not really, but if you guys have been around long enough, we like to tell those little nuances in terms of the models, in terms of what you're seeing. But again, impacts will be the same. So it's really, nothing really to write home about. All right, so as we go through time, one feature tomorrow, this is as we get into tomorrow that we're looking at is the wind direction, right? Once this low pressure takes shape, our wind is going to come out of the south or north and east versus the south, right? It's south tomorrow, low develops, it comes out of the north and the east. So on Wednesday, that northeast wind may trigger a little area of lake enhanced snow as well. So you notice the banding that starts to develop out over the lake. That's going to be a localized detail that your phone app's not picking up on. It may be brief, but during the afternoon on Wednesday, we may have a period of some heavier snow briefly along our lakeshore counties, probably starting in LaPorte County, heading over towards Porter County, then Lake County, before getting over towards Chicago. That would be lake enhanced snow. So it's lake effect snow with a system already happening over it. So it kind of enhances that snowfall rate. I would not be surprised to see that happen. And that could drop an additional inch. Again, I know it's not a big deal, but along our lakeshore counties. And that would be tomorrow afternoon and evening. So we're now up to Wednesday evening. This is heading into Wednesday night. And you notice how we're still snowing outside, right? So that Wednesday evening rush hour does look to be pretty hairy around here, just in terms of snow. We're going to have a lot of snow around. And again, once it approaches an inch or more an hour, NDOT doesn't have a real good time keeping up on it. And it's also the fact that this isn't a lake effect event. This is going to be a large area that's getting snow, right? So Northwest Indiana is going to be covered in snow. So the road crews have to get all of that versus a little localized area. So that's why we're thinking travel is really going to go downhill during the daytime on Wednesday. And it should already be pretty downhill Wednesday morning. All right, I'm going to switch sources for you. We're going to go to the global models now. These tell a picture beyond the 84-hour mark, which really is going to tell the story of this entire storm system. This is the Euro, says pretty much the same thing everything's been saying, where we start as rain anytime from midday tomorrow through early afternoon. Rain keeps going, changes over to some gloppy, wet snowflakes, and then eventually we're all snow, and it becomes a heavy, wet snow tomorrow evening. We're now into Wednesday. You notice the heaviest snow is just south of us. So Newton and Jasper County, you have the best chance at seeing some of the heavier snowfall rates. Stark County as well. Whereas our northern tier counties still seeing some snow. It's not going to be, nothing outside, but it won't be quite that super heavy rate that we'll have consistently down towards the south. As we go through time, this is a time frame that the National Weather Service is talking about, and I totally agree with them on this call. What we've got going on Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday night is a little lull in the activity. There's really two waves with this storm system. The first is tomorrow night through Wednesday about midday, early afternoon. That wave moves through, and then we kind of get this little break. It's a little dip in the system as we have more energy loading down to the south and the west. So we may see snow lighten up as we get into the Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening time frame outside of that lake enhanced band I was talking about. And then things will pick back up again on Thursday. This is really the only question in the models, because if we were just dealing with this storm on Thursday, we would still be a couple days away from this. So we'd still be figuring this out. So the details aren't quite as clear on what happens Thursday, but it's evident there's going to be another very strong wave, and probably the strongest wave of low pressure that develops along this system. So that would bring more heavy precip in. It does look to stay all snow, but the big question is, how far north does this make it? So does this heavy snow make it all the way into the region, or does it stay down towards Indianapolis up towards Fort Wayne? And the latest model runs I'd mentioned have shifted south and east with this. So that keeps some of the heaviest snow with the second round away from us. So we're going to go a little lighter in terms of the snowfall totals on that second batch. But again, that could shift because we need to treat that like a separate storm. And that's still a couple days away. So as we're already seeing snow tomorrow night and Wednesday, we'll be able to forecast better what happens Thursday, if that makes sense. But the bigger picture, we continue the snow around here all the way through Thursday. Could be heavy at times if that shifts a little bit further north. Otherwise, we're talking moderate to light snow, but pretty consistent. And then eventually everything winds down on Friday. We have a lot of region weather folks that are weather junkies. I love it. And a lot of you have already asked about the lake effect potential at the end of this. I don't see a lot of lake effect snow on the back end. The winds aren't really aligned, and that high pressure builds in here pretty quickly. So we could have some lake effect flurries around, but I don't see a big setup for that. All right, let's talk snowfall totals. I know that's what everyone cares about. But here's the deal, and I want you to know this is what I've preached since day one. Don't get hung up on totals, all right? And that's not a meteorologist being lazy saying, we don't really know exactly how much snow is going to fall at your house. There's going to be a lot of snow, but it doesn't matter between a foot and 15 inches, right? They both cause the same impacts. The impacts are what matter. And we know that Wednesday is going to be impacted, right? So you're probably not going to be able to travel much on Wednesday. Thursday is going to be impacted as well. In terms of how heavy that snow is on Thursday, that remains to be seen. But your impacts are going to be the same regardless of the number that you end up with at your house, okay? Just kind of a precursor for things to come here. So let's look at things to come. How much snow are we talking? Well, as we go through time, that snow is going to come down hot and heavy as we get into Tuesday night and Wednesday. You notice this is now Wednesday midday. This is the Euro model. I'm going to show them all. Euro model saying anywhere from 6 to 10 across the region, even 12 in our southern tier counties by midday Wednesday. That's going to fall in a hurry, right? That's that heavy, wet snow. As we go through time, we get that second wave in here. Euro picks up on that quite nicely as well. And you can see some of these totals continue to be very, very impressive across Northwest Indiana, where we've got the Euro saying 12 inches total in Gary. It switches to 18 inches in Valpo, and it goes down to 25, like 2 feet of snow as you get down in Newton, Jasper County areas near Rensselaer, out towards Stark County as well. Real bullseye across Northwest Indiana, right? Those are some impressive totals. Could I see that happening? Absolutely. Could I see that not happening? Yeah, I could see it if it shifts further down to the south. The GFS, this is the American models, very similar. You notice how it's a little bit further south. The GFS has eliminated a lot of ice with this system. So you notice the totals are a lot higher for areas like Indianapolis. As you get down towards, Toledo, Ohio, getting a lot more snow out of this one as it shifted a little bit further east. Even central areas of Illinois picking up more snow per this model. Is this going to be truth? Probably not. Is it close? Probably, right? So we could certainly squeak out some big totals. So we've been talking about this. This isn't a surprise to us here as we've been talking about these numbers last couple of days. So pretty consistent trend. Our last model we'll check is the GEM. This is the Canadian model. It's a little bit less in terms of how much snow falls. But again, pretty consistent in terms of the totals. This is anywhere from 12 to 18 inches. And the reason why I end with this, because that's what we're going to call for here in the region. I think we're almost guaranteed at least 10 inches out of this across the area. I would be safe to say 10 to 18 inches across all of Northwest Indiana from this. And I would probably go 10 to 18 inches plus as you get into Newton, Jasper, and Stark counties, depending on the track of that low. All right, so some of the 25, 26-inch totals, could it happen? I'm not going to go that high now. Again, 10 to 18, I think, would do it. But if we see that secondary low pressure on Thursday come up here and really impact the region a little bit closer than what it is right now, with it being a little further away, I could see those 20-inch totals certainly being possible with that. So that being said, that's really what we're dealing with. Beyond that, we've got very cold air that settles in here this weekend. So everything is going to be a frozen block of ice, right? We're back into the teens on Friday and Saturday. Overnight lows will likely be below zero with this one as well. So we've got really cold air behind it. And that tends to be problematic for snow removal because you get this heavy, wet snow, right? You still have some liquid runoff from it. And then you get these bone-chilling cold temperatures behind it, and everything really freezes in a hurry. So the snow you're trying to remove now is a block of ice. So we have to keep up with it and keep things clean as efficiently as we can throughout the event, because everything's going to kind of freeze on the back end for the weekend. And I have a feeling we'll be cleaning up thereafter. So that being said, I'll open it up to some questions for you. Anything you guys have, feel free to ask. We'd be happy to answer those. I appreciate all those of you watching on our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to that, that's a good way to get the notifications when we go live during these events. And thank you again. We talked about this last couple nights for all the support on Region Weather on our Facebook page. There are many of you that have sent stars. I really appreciate that. You don't have to do that, but I certainly appreciate those that do. And you guys have just been such a supportive family. And I'll be happy to note, last night my son River came down and he didn't interrupt. He just joined us for our broadcast. He's happily in bed right now. So no River here tonight, just me. So that's great. All right. So Mark asked a really good question. Mark, what a wonderful question. He's been with us a long time. So it's going to snow. Yes, we're going to get some snow for sure, Mark. And I know you're kidding about that. Beth, thank you for the nice comments. Deborah, I appreciate it. Drew, that's interesting. So AccuWeather has Valpo at 4 to 8. Here's the thing about your phone apps, folks. They change on the dime. All right. These phone apps, tomorrow morning, you'll wake up, it'll say 6 to 12. It'll go back 1 to 3. There's no one that you can, throw stuff at or point to if you're wrong on these apps. So 4 to 8 in AccuWeather, I will challenge that. And I'll say that we get more in Valpo than 4 to 8 inches. But again, that's the AccuWeather app. So there you go. Starla's not going to work. Drew, not a lot of lake effect on the backside. We might have some lake enhanced snow as we go through the event, but not seeing a lot of lake effect on the backside. Adrienne, we'll be seeing black ice tomorrow from the rain tomorrow. Certainly possible. I don't think that we're not going to have a real sharp freeze with this. There's not a huge drop off. It's kind of a gradual drop off. So we're going to be in the 40s tomorrow. We'll slide back into the 30s as we get on into Wednesday morning, and we'll slowly careen back from the 30s into the 20s during the day Wednesday. Thursday will hold probably in the 20s, back to the teens by Friday, and then we're cold beyond that. So it's not a sharp freeze. I think it'll be more of a gradual freeze, but we'll definitely be in the deep freeze by Friday and Saturday for sure. Portage Streets and Sanitation, you're absolutely welcome. Anytime you guys need anything, feel free to message me for sure. Oh, that's awesome, Jody. Your 6-year-old loves watching with you. That's cool. Hi, Miss Stella. Thanks for joining us. That's so cool. Any kids that are in the weather, we flirted with this idea before. I do school visits locally for our TV station, but I want to get together the Region Weather family and any kids, and I want to do one of my school visits on Zoom or something like that. So I've been asked before a couple times, to do some presentations just to explain things to the kids. And Stella, I love snow, and it's amazing when storms like this come together. It's super fascinating. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Jamie, that's a wonderful question. Any dry slots in the lull? So the dry slot is usually attributed to an area of low pressure. When you have a snowstorm that comes up through the area in the low, you're actually in that envelope of the low, right? That's not really the case with us. The low's too far south, so this is really just a big strip of precip. But that's one of the things. And again, I was going to get into this. How could we miss this event? How could this go wrong and not get the big totals, right? And it would be from that where you have this big piece of precipitation, right, that it looks like on radar as you're seeing it is completely filled with moisture, right? It's constant snow. That always isn't the case. Sometimes you get these little pockets of dry air, or you have more lift in one spot, some sinking air in the other, so you get these breaks. That certainly is possible where we could go down a very light snow, or maybe not see some snowflakes for a little bit of time later on Wednesday. But as of right now, with the given track of the low, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll at least maintain a light snow during that downtime for sure. Ann says, release the Kraken. Yes, the Kraken has been released from the desert Southwest as it looks right now. Let's see. When does the state call for travel advisories? Leanna, I believe it's county-based in terms of the travel advisories. So you'd have to check with your county sheriff's office. Are usually good with that. You'll get a really good, I wouldn't rely on that. You'll get a really good sense of how the system's performing. If you just look at like Google Maps, we have webcams on our webpage, courtesy INDOT. So regionweather.com. We've got all the webcams on area interstates up for you. They're nice and organized. So I always click through those just to see, especially during lake effect events, how the roads are. I mean, you'll be able to tell for sure. Eleni, I think I said your name right. I love your name. Terre Haute, looking in your mind, very snowy as well. I think they're going to be getting some real decent totals out of this. Maybe not quite as high as the region, but again, it depends on the track of that low for sure with that. Why do different models show different tracks? Tara, that's a good question as well. So we always talk about different models, right? These models have these super complex algorithms in them, right? Where they're taking in all sorts of factors and saying, okay, given the conditions that are occurring right now across the US, how in the past has this behaved in the future, right? And they're taking things into effect. I'm not kidding. This is how deep and huge these algorithms are. Some of them take into effect like the foliage on trees in the summertime. So how many leaves are out, how much humidity that puts in the atmosphere. I mean, they are so detailed and they're all a little bit different. The American model just got an upgrade. I actually was on a conference call last week. It was super informative with one of the leads at the National Weather Service Office of the United States. And he did a lot of work with the models and these upgrades. And it's just so fascinating to see what they put into them. And they all spit out different results, right? As a meteorologist, my job is to look at the models. And again, I'm 15 years experience now, but still I'm learning every single day. But my job is to look at the models and say, oh, that model's performed well during these setups. Or, you know, hey, I've been forecasting for Northwest Indiana for 15 years, and I know that this typically happens. Those are the things that we tweak with the models. Some models are off some weeks. Like there's some weeks where the GFS just doesn't perform well, or doesn't perform well in the springtime under certain conditions. Those are the things that we tweak and look at. And again, looking at the models, seeing some of those huge totals, I think they're a little high on the amount of moisture in the storm system. So again, that's why I think a general 10 to 18 inches would be good as of tonight. Could that change tomorrow? Sure, but I tend to stick to my total. So we'll see. Yeah, Amanda, travel does not look good as we get into Wednesday morning. We'll have a heavy wet snow falling, and we'll have already seen some heavy wet snow as well. Deanna, I wish I could cancel work for you. Diane, you're welcome. So school closures, David, again, I'm not a superintendent, so I don't make the ultimate decision despite what people think. I do think that if we're ahead of the game and we're seeing how Wednesday's going to perform, I think Wednesday stands a real good chance at having school closures or virtual learning. I'm not sure what your local school does. Virtual learning, what a bummer, right? Just do a snow day, right? Right? Am I right? I mean, that just ruins the whole magic of a snow day. I do think Thursday would likely have a snow day as well. Friday, depending if they can't clean up, and it's going to be really cold Friday. So in a perfect world for a kid, we'd have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Right now, I would say probably Wednesday, Thursday at least. And if I were to lean one of those 2 days, I would probably lean towards Wednesday. Thursday, the only question would be, where does that second low go? If that misses us, we just have light snow Thursday. I could see some of those, you know, real hard superintendents going for school. Let's see. Claudia, you're welcome. I appreciate that for sure. Oh, and Claudia, that's amazing. You know, you're not the only one on here that has mentioned this, but you say you're totally blind. Description of areas covered really helps me get a good grasp of things. That is awesome. Yeah. So planning your work schedule, I hope that helps. But Claudia, it means the world to me that you trust us. I really appreciate that. And Brent asking when it clears Cleveland. So I've got that covered, Brent. My forecast here. I'm doing a morning show all this week, doing some team coverage. So in the Cleveland area, we're not going to clear out till Friday, probably midday as it looks right now. And our problem here in Cleveland is the fact that we're going to be dealing with some icing issues, perhaps getting all the way up into Cleveland. I think they'll stay south by Akron. But it looks like Friday. And I'll tell you, Brent, Cleveland is awful at clearing snow. I hate to say that, but I mean, they were terrible this last event. Like, they're known for not clearing snow. We have a new mayor that just got elected, and he has this big snowfall plan in terms of snow removal. And boy, is he going to get a test. But I say that because even though that snow is going to clear out on Friday, we may not be cleared out till Monday, Tuesday next week for sure. Okay. Deborah asked a good question about wind. Will it be heavy throughout the storm? So Deborah, the wind, we're not going to see any crazy wind with this, but it's going to be gusty. It'll likely be 15 to 25 miles per hour out of the north and the east. And then towards the lakeshore, we get some real gusty wind Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll see gusts probably 35, maybe even 40 along the lakeshore as that wind comes off the frictionless lake. And that would be, again, Wednesday, Thursday. It'll start to subside on Fridays. That cold air and that high pressure builds in for sure. Cindy says, thank you, Matt. You mentioned watching on our YouTube channel. I appreciate that. Lake enhanced snow earlier. Could you clarify, explain why it's not west to east, or did I not hear it correctly? No, you're absolutely right on that. You guys ask such good questions. So Cindy, the reason why it would be the lake enhanced, and I wouldn't worry too much about the lake enhancement. It's a little subtle detail. But again, if you're noticing heavier snow during the morning and midday on Wednesday, it's due to that, probably lingering in the afternoon. So the reason why it's north to east is because our wind, the wind out over the lake is going to start north. So that band of snow, you can kind of see here in the model, develops out towards areas near Benton Harbor in Grand Rapids at first. And then as that northeast wind and that pull from that system comes in, it actually goes from east. It swings across the area and goes back towards Chicago, all based on wind direction and fetch across the lake. And that would happen during the day. So you definitely heard that correctly. Absolutely. Let's see. So Dan's asking about travel watches and warnings. I'm seeing a couple of those. Travel will be impacted, folks, regardless of whether they issue. I'm not too familiar with the kind of, because they don't do it very often, what kind of watches and warnings. I know they do travel bans and stuff like that. I know counties do level emergencies. I get that. But again, if we're focused on impact, I would not recommend traveling Wednesday, but especially Thursday, as all this continues to pile up. Because this just isn't us getting this. This is a huge swath of real estate down towards Indianapolis. Forget about it. We've got real heavy totals down there. East towards Ohio, forget about it. Your best bet of travel would be Chicago and west or north. Chicago may get maybe 4 to 8 out of this at best. As it looks right now, you get north of Chicago, they may not have anything. I mean, this is going to be such a sharp cutoff where that snow ends. And I'll show it to you here. On this map here, this is one of the forecast models. Look at this cutoff here. I mean, we go from a ton of snow right over northwest Indiana, all the way downstate out towards the east. Towards you get up towards Chicago and north central Illinois, they're not going to see a flake from this. I mean, that's how snowstorms work. I know a lot of people, get upset and they're like, oh, all the snowstorms keep missing us. Snowstorms don't hit that many people. They really don't. You look at the amount of people that aren't seeing this storm and they're really close to it. What a bummer for them, or a good thing for them if they're not a kid. But it really is. This one does look to hit us on the nose, if not close to it. So certainly going to be interesting. But so in terms of travel, I forget about it if you're anywhere in Hoosier State, but north and west, it gets a little bit better for sure. Let's see. Alice asking how much snow on the ground at 8 a.m. Alice, we covered it. We could have anywhere from about 4 to 8 inches on the ground at 8 a.m. on Wednesday. Again, don't focus on the 8. Could be 4, right? But I think anywhere in that range is a good bet, and it'll still be coming down pretty good. Jessica Ricky, yes, these are Tuesday through Thursday night for sure. Oh, no one talks about Highland. How could we forget about lovely Highland? For sure. Highland's the same as everyone else in terms of the snowstorm. So there we go, for sure. Paul asked a great question. Let's talk about the winds and direction for blowing snow. I might be behind on your comments here, guys. I think I got really behind on comments. I'm so sorry. I'm going to fast forward. So if you have a really good question, please ask again. But I'll answer Paul's. Again, the wind will be northeast. It'll be gusty near the lakeshore. It'll probably be in the order 15 to 25 throughout the event for everyone else. And again, that will be it'll hold pretty consistently throughout the entire event with some gusty winds, but not a huge wind event, not a blizzard or anything like that. But towards the lakeshore, it could get interesting for sure. So Mitch and Hannah, great question. What are your thoughts on the HRRR? Seem to push the storm a bit north. What are the chances next model gives it a bit more juice? So the juice seems to be coming from the GFS model in terms of this one. This is the latest run. This is a brand new run of the HRRR, as we call it, or the HRRR. And you notice as we go through time, yeah, there's not much. I think they're very consistent. I don't think this is any further north than the other models. So maybe the HRRR has kind of agreed with what the GFS and Euro are saying. But you see, it's got that heavier snow moving through here Wednesday morning, and then we get that break. See this area in here? This is that little lull between this wave and this wave. And again, that's the little lull in activity that will probably come in here Wednesday night, as it looks right now, late Wednesday. And you see what the HRRR's picking up on, this little band right here. This is that Lake Enhanced band I was talking about that'll make its way back towards Chicago. But it's in here. You can't see it. It's probably right in there as we go through the day Wednesday. So that's interesting to see for sure. All right. I'm going to answer a couple more, and then I got to get to bed. I have a 1:30 a.m. wake-up call for that morning show. Your morning meteorologists, oh, man, they get no sleep. So I'm not looking forward to that. Should be good, though. Drew asking a good question. Thunder snow. So thunder snow, you need a lot of action in the atmosphere. You need almost thunderstorm-like upgrowth with the clouds, which is a sign of a very energetic system. This one, it's not that it doesn't have the power to do that. We don't have a real central compact low that's producing a ton of lift. It's more of an elongated area of lift in the atmosphere, which is still impressive. Could we get some thunder snow? Possibly. And I said that the other day. I think it's possible with this. It would be right where that ice mixes with that heavier snow, right at that sweet spot. And that looks to be more down towards Indianapolis. So do we get any thunderstorm snow in the region? If I were a betting man, I would say no. But I do think we'll see some in this storm system for sure. So Tammy, the snow's starting at Hammond, and this is for everybody. It's going to start as rain tomorrow. Keep in mind, we're going to be in the 40s tomorrow during the day. It's evening on into tomorrow night, especially tomorrow evening. I think after evening rush hour, we change over to kind of gloppy wet snowflakes, and then we have wet snow around, and that wet snow is really going to ramp up tomorrow evening, and then especially tomorrow night. So Wednesday's going to be messy. Trent, absolutely. Heavy snow, it will be enough to bring down power lines. I think it'll turn a little fluffier towards the end of the event, but, boy, if we're talking 18 inches of snow around here on power lines and trees, I don't know if it's the power line per se that's going to be falling, but it would be the trees, especially the pine trees that really it weighs down on that would have problems. Amanda, there's still a chance this slides north. It's not all set in stone yet. We're just now getting a true sample of what the system's doing over land. So there's a chance for that. Joe, I appreciate that. So that's interesting. Your comment's interesting. So they're going out Wednesday down to Indianapolis on Thursday. I don't think that's a good move, Joe. I really don't. I don't think that's a good move on their behalf. I understand that, they got to get video of events or whatever they're filming, but man, I don't think that's a good idea to travel down there on Thursday. It's going to be messy, and the problem is NDOT is not going to be able to keep up with it. All right, they're just not. The snowfall rates are going to be too consistent across too big of an area for them to keep up with it. So I think things are going to go downhill in a hurry for sure. Patricia, yeah, we have. I put a link on there just for lake effect. It makes sense on regionweather.com. You can go to northwestindianaweather.com. I think it's NWI weather. Anyway, either of those will get you there. And yeah, it's real well organized, and people love them. I mean, that's probably our most active thing on the webpage. So I'm always making sure they're working and switching them out if it doesn't make sense. But yeah, you can view what the road conditions are across Northwest Indiana from NDOT's cams on our website, and it certainly helps me out, especially with severe weather for sure. Okay, Kristen asking if there's enough rain to wash your car. I think so. Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, you get a little soap on it, let Mother Nature do her thing. You should be okay for sure. Susan, great question. Jeremy asked a good question as well. Midway cancel flights Wednesday at 2. I bet they would, Jeremy. They're going to be a little bit further north, but I still think they'll be in the snow. I don't think all of them would be canceled. I would guess a good percentage of them would be, though. Yeah, Susan talking about Walmart being picked over. Boy, I'll tell you, everyone's been making a run on the grocery store all across the area. Anyway, this other Susan asked a great question. Saturday to south of Indy, it just depends on how much they clean up. We'll have Friday and Saturday to clean up. So, hopefully things will be better by then. It just depends on how fast they are. So, Steve, Becca asks, shovel our roofs. Gosh, Becca, that's a tough question. I don't know if we'll have, I don't know. I don't want to tell you to shovel your roof, then you fall off. I really don't want to see that. It's a good question, though. I don't know what I honestly don't have the knowledge and what the criteria is for how much snow. That'd be something to Google, right? So if you know, let's figure out how much snow that ends up falling from this. We'll figure that out together during the event. But if you can Google, 18 inches of snow, and it's going to be a heavy wet snow as well. See how much that weighs and how much your roof can withstand typically, for sure. Deborah, you're welcome. Anyway, Steve asked how often we'll be updating during the storm. So Steve, I try to put out a graphic at least once or twice a day. Again, I don't like to overwhelm inboxes or your Facebook feed, especially if you did sign up for alerts. I don't want you getting annoying alerts every time I post something. So we'll try to do a graphic or two per day during this event. But I think really what we're going to be doing during this event, it'll be mainly on our Facebook page. We'll do a region weather live every single night, right? Probably before my bedtime because I'm doing mornings this week. But in terms of coverage and stuff like that, I do a lot of nowcasting. So we'll do the radar image. We'll say where the heavy snow is now, where I'm expecting it to go, where I'm expecting the heavy snow to pick up. So we'll definitely have updates as we go throughout this event, okay? Kristen asked a great question. Am I excited about this storm? Kristen, I am secretly. This is what I live for, is weather forecasting. And I'll tell you, it was a very boring December. I was a little sad about it. But January's definitely been impressive for sure. It's just exciting. It really is. It's a chance as a meteorologist who likes to educate. Not all meteorologists like to educate. A lot of them are about themselves. A lot of TV people are, okay? And I'm not calling out any names. I don't have any coworkers that are like that. But I don't know how long you've known me, but I'm a very humble person, right? I thank God every single day that He told me and gave me the know-with-all at age 3 to know I wanted to be a meteorologist since I was 3. I was glued to the Weather Channel watching the radar. My parents couldn't peel me away. And I'm telling you, I'm blessed to be doing this. And my favorite thing is doing school visits with the kids and teaching them and getting them excited about the weather. And I hope a little bit of that rubs off on you guys here on these Region Weather Lives, because I love to educate and make it simple. Watching meteorologists growing up, I took a lot of notes on terms of the pet peeves that they had, things I didn't like and I didn't want to do. And one of the things I try to do, and I hope it comes across well, is explain how things are going to evolve and explain it in an easy to understand format. So I hope you get that from me for sure. Steve, thanks, buddy. Subscriber 218. Nice. I appreciate that. My goal is for us to get 1,000 on YouTube. Again, I don't push it. If you guys want to do it, you can do it. But then we can go live on there. And that's when it gets exciting, where we can literally do some live in the field stuff. And anyway, that's long-term goals, right? Hashtag goals. All right. Becca, thanks for answering Ronald's question. You can also watch the replay. Thank you, Tiffany, for letting everyone know that. Aaron says our notifications don't mind. John, that's a great question. Weather Service was on this. I was on a conference call with them earlier in Chicago, and they're not shying away from it. Yeah, this is a very early winter storm warning. But you think about it, and tomorrow night we're going to start to reach winter storm warning criteria by Wednesday morning. So it's really not too early on that, for sure. Dorothy's fighting over this. She says we're up to 385. I'll have to check. And thank you very much. Marilyn, I am going to bed. Thank you very much for those of you. Again, I can't see the feed. I see it tomorrow. But for those of you, they have stars on Facebook. I don't even know what that is, but I appreciate it. They let me know when you send us. So thank you for that. No one else do that. All right. I appreciate you and your support that you give us through this. And I am going to bed. Okay. So I appreciate that. All right, guys. Again, we'll get through this. It's a winter storm. We're going to get a lot of snow. So best advice I can give you is just to hunker down, enjoy it. If you do have travel plans, I would probably cancel them Wednesday and Thursday at least, okay? And then stay safe at home. Hopefully we don't have a lot of power outages. And again, we'll keep you updated as we get throughout the event, okay? Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you tomorrow, all right? Bye.